Just a warning that this video does contain the use of a dead bird. It is a partridge that was shot in the most recent shooting season and then frozen. It was then defrosted ahead of the training session. Using cold game like this is an essential part of the Gundog training process, but if this is not your cup of tea, I would suggest you switch off now.
Hi everyone, I am back out today with Ivy, and today we are going to be working on introducing her to cold game. So we went to a training session a few weeks ago and she had the opportunity to try and pick cold game for the first time. She'd never done it before, and I almost naively thought that she would pick it fine, because in our training we've always worked with a variety of different retrieving articles, canvas, she's done the half-pound feather dummies, she's done dock and dummies, she's done rabbit dummies, she's done 3-part dummies. So I kind of just thought that she would pick it, but she didn't. So when I lined her, she ran out beautifully, went to the bird, kind of had a sniff of it, and then just ran straight back to me. So she did the full retrieving sequence just without the fundamental part of picking up. So we didn't have much time to work on it in that training session, but Helen kindly held back a couple of partridge for us so that we could do a bit of work on training her to pick cold game, because ideally I want to get this sorted before we look to enter next season. So I've got some partridge with me today and we are going to have a go and see what we do. So I'm using the clicker to help me build up our retrieve of cold game. We're not going through the whole clicker retrieve sequence, but I'm stealing elements of it and using that in this session. So to start off with, what I'm looking for is for her to approach and touch the bird with her snout, her nose, whatever you want to call it. And so as she makes contact with the bird, I am clicking to say that is the right thing, that's what I want you to do, and then I'm rewarding her by placing the food away from the bird, which means she then has to reapproach in order to earn her click. So we did a few repetitions, then took a break, I moved camera position, and then repeated again. So you'll see I wait for her to touch the bird, as soon as she does I click and then reward. Now she's starting to offer this behaviour reliably, so what you're going to see in a moment is I'm going to hold off from clicking her immediate touch to see what else she's going to offer me. She then offers me the open mouth behaviour, which is the next stage that we're working towards. So you'll see it here. Open mouth, click, and then reward. So we're starting to develop that behaviour quite quickly. And after she gave me a few reliable repetitions of that open mouth behaviour, I have then progressed on. So now what I'm doing is placing the bird on the floor. I am asking her to sit and wait, because otherwise she was kind of mugging me as I presented the bird. So I ask her to sit and wait, and then I give her get it cue, which is kind of a release. Not necessarily the purest way of clicker training, but it was working for me, so I stuck with it. So get it, she then goes and lifts it slightly off the floor. As soon as she does that, I click and then reward. So what I'm intending to do with this process is essentially break down the different stages of the pickup behaviour. So in order for a dog to retrieve, they have to approach the retrieving article. So that was that first exercise, getting her to approach and touch the bird. Then they have to be able to open their mouth. Then they have to put their mouth around the article, then they have to lift the article, and then they would carry it back as part of that return piece. So what I'm doing is trying to break down those layers of behaviour and get her to reliably perform each layer before then progressing on to the next stage. And it's also worth noting that clicker training is very tiring for our dog's brain, so she was getting lots of regular breaks in between the repetitions. I would do probably between 5 and 6 repetitions and then give her a scatter feed and a break before starting again. So then we progressed on, after I was getting a reliable pickup off the ground, to getting her to pick it up and carry it. So here you'll see I place the item down and I step away a pace. I then ask her to get it, she picks it and carries it forward a step. Now I'm not worried right now about her delivery, I'm not worried about her sitting in front and doing a beautiful present, I just want her to be able to pick the item up and start to bring it towards me.
which is what she's offering nicely. It's also worth noting that I was getting annoyed with myself in the session, and I'm annoyed with myself watching it back even more, that I am being quite handsy in this. And what I mean by that is I'm kind of leaning in to get the bird off of her or get her to place it in my hands, and I really don't need to be doing that at this stage of the process. It's fine for her to hear the click and spit it out on the floor and my hands being nowhere near her or the bird, as we will shape that delivery to hand as part of this process just a bit later on. So keep your hands out, don't copy me. It's human nature to want the dog to deliver to hand, but I'm just rushing things when I don't need to. So then as that was becoming reliable, I'm then just adding a little bit more distance. So the same setup, she's sat with the bird in front of her. I'm just stepping away a few more paces, asking her to get it, she picks it and then has to carry it a little bit further. So we're just getting a little bit more distance in our return with the bird in her mouth. We repeated that a few times and then we moved on to trying to add it into the retrieve sequence. So keeping the distances nice and short, using my placeboard to help, I go and place the bird out. I then use my get it cue to release her. She runs out, picks it and brought it back beautifully. So I was very, very pleased with that. Now I'm still using my release cue, which is get it in this scenario, because I don't want to add my retrieving cue until I am really happy with the behaviour that she's offering. So I'm kind of going on the mentality that don't name it until you love it. So we're going to wait until this behaviour is really nice and reliable, and then I'm going to add in what will be her retrieving cue for the future. So there were 2 successful complete retrieves, so I decided that was a good place to end the session. So I was really, really pleased with how she progressed throughout that. And now going forward, we'll just continue to work on increasing the complexity of those retrieves. We'll probably start with increasing distance, and then ultimately the world's our oyster in what we can play about with to try and proof this behaviour to make it nice and reliable, ready for next season. Now this is me training a retrieve with the use of a clicker, but it is definitely not the full clicker retrieve training process, which is a really, really useful process if you have a slightly reluctant retriever. So I will include in the notes a link to the website which can take you through that full process, but this does give you a little bit of insight into some of those steps. But for now, that is everything. So thanks for watching.